Welcome to Okaloosa Today, local news and information. Connecting the communities of Fort Walton Beach, Destin, and Okaloosa County.
Hello and welcome to the Okaloosa Today show with news about Okaloosa County, the city of Destin, and the city of Fort Walton Beach. I am Kathy Newby, Public Information Officer for Okaloosa County, and today we are in the Okaloosa County Emergency Operations Center, your operations center, with Emergency Management Chief Randy McDaniel. Welcome, Randy.
Hi, Kathy.
Well, we've just completed our hurricane exercise to get ourselves prepared for hurricane season. So now we thought we would get you all prepared and urge our residents to prepare for the worst and hope for the best. That's what you always say, right, Randy?
We do. We tell them the first 72 is on you, because after a storm goes through, depending on the amount of damage it creates, the amount of debris we have on shore, it may take us 72 hours to be able to get resources into the area. So it's important that residents and businesses go ahead and plan for that first 72 hours so they can be self-supportive until we can get to them.
It'll definitely relieve some of that stress as that hurricane starts to turn out there. Well, and let's start off by actually telling our residents a little bit about what goes on in here. They're getting an indoor look today at what goes on behind the scenes. And can you tell our residents about this huge room that we're in and what goes on in this room?
Well, the building is constructed to withstand 190-mile-an-hour winds, which means for a Cat 5 storm, we could be sitting right in here and continue doing our operations. We go through different levels of activation depending on what's going on. Right now we're at level 3, so we're monitoring things. So we have Hurricane Barbara in the Pacific, and we're actually watching Hurricane Barbara right now at our level 3 monitoring. Now, if something were to start looking like it's going to threaten the county, then we go to a level 2 activation, which means the EOC could operate 12 hours a day, and we pull in the different emergency support function representatives and we tell them to start their preparation planning and just get ready for a possible impact from a storm. And then as soon as we move into an actual threat, we go to level 1.
And so these emergency support functions, the ESFs, and they're all numbered, have stations at these tables surrounding us. And can you talk a little bit about who's in this room and what happens?
Well, the emergency management program is made up by more people than just the 2 EM folks that work for Okaloosa County.
Right.
It's made up of agencies from nonprofits. It's made up from state agencies. It's made up from other county agencies and departments. It's a group of people that come together. We collaborate on the needs of the county residents and preparing to respond to that storm. We have a VOAD group that comes in, which is ESF 15, and they take care of donations, and people will call in and need somebody to come clear debris from their yardways that can't do it themselves. And ESF 15 through VOAD will take care of those things, getting volunteers to go there to help clear that debris.
Right. Utilities, practically every department in the county, including the health department, is here during the storm. And and all those people stay and ride out the entire storm, is that correct?
They do. Once we get to the point where we're expecting tropical force winds to be sustained, nobody leaves the building.
It's not safe, yeah.
It's not safe, so they have to stay here. Now we do 12-hour shifts, and we'll have about 100 people on a shift. So we rotate about 200 people during a 24-hour period. Those folks stay here, they sleep here, they shower here, and they eat here. And they don't go home until the threat has passed and it's safe to actually let them go home to sleep.
And it gets even still chaotic in here. I mean, you've got all these agencies, everybody's wanting something, the phone is ringing. I mean, it really can, when we practice for the exercises, you don't always get that feel. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't, for what it's really like, but it does get pretty hectic in here, and believe it or not, every inch of this space will be utilized during a storm.
It will be. It'll be full of people. There'll be phones ringing all over the place. There'll be people running across the floors to talk to each other to try to arrange different things that they need to do. We like to call it controlled chaos.
Oxygen to like
transporting people to shelters,
right.
or even after the storm is over, transporting people to their dialysis treatments. So there's a lot of activity going on in this room to take care of not just the roads and bridges and restore the infrastructure, but to make sure that the needs of the people out in the county are taken care of.
And a lot of communication, and then we try to get that communication out to our residents as well. So let's talk about some of those things. First of all, we have a web EOC program that we have there. You will see computers at all of these tables as well, and microphones. So everybody can speak to anybody at any time. They can send messages through that web EOC program to see what we need, to see what's happening out there. We have these monitors throughout the room. We can watch traffic.
We can actually monitor, as we do an evacuation, we can monitor the flow of the evacuation from inside the room. We can see all the different intersections in the county, and if an intersection's having problems and we can solve that problem by adjusting traffic signals, that can be done from inside this room.
That is amazing. And we can take a look at the beach, at our webcams at the beach.
We can look at the beaches, all the major intersections. We have a lot of remote sensing equipment that we can go out to and take a look at. Instead of sending somebody physically to that location, which it may not be safe to do, we use remote sensing equipment to do that.
And of course we can sleep all of those people. We now have a kitchen. And of course we have to, again, highlight the Northwest Florida State College and our partnership with them, because I mean, we are sitting on their campus. They do allow us to use the Raider Arena for a shelter. They allow us to use the wellness room, which has the showers and the sleeping facility. Their classrooms become sleeping facilities. So a lot of dual use goes on, you know, through that partnership.
It's been an incredible partnership with the college. I don't have warehouse space, but the college does have a warehouse. So they've actually stored a lot of my equipment in their warehouse, and they do it happily. All I have to do is call them and say, hey, we need to put something away, and they'll store it for us. They'll maintain it for us. If we activate the facility and we need to set up the classrooms as bunk rooms, the college will just come in, they clear out the classrooms, they bring our bunks over and set them up for us, so that that's one less thing we have to worry about when we're preparing for a storm. So the relationship with the college, I couldn't have dreamed it would be this great.
So we owe a lot to the college, and we
do.
certainly appreciate their support and the support of our residents. So let's talk about communication, though. We have some communication towers outside. We have generators here. I mean, we should be able to continue to operate throughout a storm, and if all else fails, we also have our citizens information line, which residents can call in on the 311 line and get updates themselves if they don't have access to a TV or computer. We always keep those grassroots things going. We do have satellite phones, we do have generators, so we should have all the means available to us to ride through that storm.
We have radio stations broadcasting from the EOC, so that's why it's important that residents keep a good battery operated radio, because after the storm goes through and power's off, they could actually tune into a Cumulus radio station, or they could tune into WAAZ in Crestview, and they'll actually get live reports from the EOC. So they're going to get it directly from the horse's mouth, so to speak, that we can get information out to them quickly through those different radio stations. And then of course we'll have the other media outlets here, Channel 3 News. We're able to reach out to a lot of people. We can do it through our Facebook page, Twitter accounts. We actually have an app that the county has developed that we can send out information. It's a situation report, and from the app they can tap on that and bring it up. So even if they don't have internet at their house, if their phone still has 3G service, they can pull up the information on their phone, and it's as easy as a tap on your screen.
And we have ham radios that can actually take photos, and we have ham radio operators that stand ready to do that during a storm.
We do. We have the Aries group within the county, and it's just volunteers. It's ham radio operators within the county, and they have volunteered to come in and spend their time with us to man the EOC. They man our shelters, so that if we lose all communications with the shelters, we know that through ham radio operations we still know what's going on in the shelters, and we can meet the needs of the folks that are staying in the hurricane shelters. So there's several layers of communications that we have here, and it's redundant communications, because after a storm is over, the public expects us to be able to help them. So we can't have just one thing and it breaks and we're done.
That's right. And you were talking about, the level 1, level 2, and level 3. If we do, once we declare a state of emergency, we have our website, our county website at OkaloosaFL.com, that actually will go into an emergency screen where you can get updates as well. And then we can actually call everyone and tell them if there is a mandatory evacuation.
We can through the Code Red system. It can call 1,000 phones per minute. It's very important, though, that people register their phones, because a lot of folks have ported their number here from somewhere else. So it may have a different area code, or they may not be using a landline anymore. They may have a cell phone. So it's very important that they go onto the county's website, or they can go into the app and register for Code Red, and they just tell us what address their phone number is associated with. And that way, if we're doing evacuations, they'll get a phone call and we'll tell them that your area is being evacuated. But they need to really register for it, but it's a very good system.
So great information for our residents. You know, and worst case, come in here, fill out those forms. I mean, if you don't have a computer to download it, I mean, this does occur. I mean, I got a call recently where, you know, there was a senior citizen in the Niceville area, and she said, I don't have a computer, I don't have a phone, what do I do? And she came in, she filled out her Okaloosa forms, and she turned them in, and she is ready now for that storm. So I just really admire citizens who take that active role, and that's what we're urging you to do.
They really need to be proactive and prepare now. When a storm is approaching, that's not the time to try to make decisions that could make the difference between life and death. I mean, you're going to be very stressed, and you have a tendency of making mistakes in those situations. So just like it's important for us to plan and have checklists, they need to plan and put together some checklists ahead of time of what they're going to do, and it puts control and power back in their hands.
So again, that's our Ready Okaloosa package, and you can register for Code Red. You can do it here at the Public Safety Building, or again, go to our website at okaloosafl.com. You need to know what flood zone you're in. Let's talk about that a little bit.
You do. If well, your hurricane insurance, your homeowner's insurance does not cover flooding. So if you live in a flood-prone area, you really need to know, and you need to have flood insurance, because if your house floods, that's the only way you're going to recover from that event, except out of your own pocket. If they register for Ready Okaloosa, we'll send them a couple of maps. One of the maps will tell them if they live in an evacuation zone or not, and if they do, which zone they live in. The other map's going to tell them if they live in a floodplain. That way they can make an educated decision as to whether they need to go out and purchase that flood insurance to protect themselves and give them a sense of comfort that if their house floods, there's somebody there to help them to recover from that.
Sure. And so again, go to our website to get that information. You can look up your flood zone right online, or again, emergency management and public safety can help you anytime with that information. Stay connected with us several ways. We've touched on a little bit of those. We do have a Facebook page, so you can like us on Facebook at Okaloosa County Public Safety. You can follow us on Twitter at Okaloosa EOC, all caps, Okaloosa EOC. And let's see, what am I forgetting? Oh, our new app. We have, again, our CIL number in an emergency is here 24/7. We also have a citizens information line online, so you can send us your questions in that way via email. But let's talk about okay, and during emergency, I do need to give you one more number. If you are out here in Okaloosa County, our citizens information line is 311. Outside the county, that number is 850-609-7000. And again, you can visit our website from anywhere. But let's talk about our mobile phone app. Because it is, you can do everything right on your phone.
Well, the app is set up to cover more than just hurricanes. We actually have a section of the app that if you're in an area where there's a chemical spill and we need to send you a message through Code Red to shelter in place, one tap on your app will tell you exactly how to do that, so that you're not trying to look it up on the internet. How do I do this? How do I protect myself and my family? It's on the app. If you want to know beach flag conditions, it's on the app. You can tap it and it will tell you what color flag we're flying on the beaches. It will show you surf conditions. If you want to look at the surf, there's a section on the app, you can tap that and it'll bring up the surf camera so that you can see that. It has disaster planning information on it. It has disaster supply kit information, the types of things that you need to have in your supply kit. There's all sorts of information available, and it's just a tap away. The app is free. It's available for iPhones and Androids. And I would also say that to use that Facebook page, you can get to our Facebook page from the app as well. And you go into the Facebook page, you can go to both. And the thing that we found from our Facebook page during Hurricane Isaac last year is nobody called the CIL system, the Citizens Information Line. We had 5 phone calls to the CIL. We had over 25,000 individual hits to our Facebook page. And people were logging on and typing in questions, and you were answering them, or somebody
Right.
else was answering their questions, but they were getting instantaneous answers to their questions. So it was very quick. They didn't have to dial a number. They didn't have to wait for somebody to answer. It was very quick, rapid, and instantaneous information.
The age of instant information. So it's free. Just download our mobile phone app. It's called Radio Okaloosa.
It's called Radio Okaloosa. The easiest way to find it is just search the word Okaloosa, and then
Right.
look for the app when it pops up that's called Radio Okaloosa.
Well, let's talk about shelters, Randy. Of course, the shelter is your last resort, but we do have shelters. If you don't have any other option, we do have shelters. But again, if you have options, if you can pack up and evacuate, if you've got your plan ready to get your animals and you have a place to go, then certainly you're going to have much more enjoyable evacuation in that way. But because if you bring your pet, we do have availability for pets now, and we're going to talk about that, but you are separated from your pet whenever that occurs. So, but let's talk about shelters.
Well, we have several shelters in the county. Now, we'll generally start with opening our special needs shelter, which is at Davidson Middle School. That is a special needs general populace shelter. It's on the north side of Crestview. It's been hardened with hurricane shutters. It has a generator that will run the air conditioning system and everything else at the shelter. But again, it's a public school. So it's not something that's going to be comfortable. You're going to sleep in hallways. There's no cots. You're going to have to bring your own bedding.
You have to bring all your pet supplies.
You have to bring your pet supplies. Now, it is a pet-friendly shelter, but the pets do not stay at that shelter. They'll check into the school in the parking lot and register their pet with Paul's, and we'll actually transport the pet to a facility in Laurel Hill where the pet will be sheltered. And then at the end of the storm, we link the owners back up with the pets via a little band that goes around their arm and a tag that goes on the collar. And that way we can connect the owners and pets back up. But again, that should be your last resort.
Right.
You should really plan ahead for something else.
And you have to have your own kennel. So, I mean, if that is your plan, make sure that you have a kennel ready to go for that.
And we
on
ask
your
that
list.
if you bring your pets, that we at least have proof of a rabies vaccine.
Very important.
We want to know that they've been vaccinated so that if a worker is bitten, they don't have to go through all those painful injections and rabies treatments because we didn't know if the animal was vaccinated or not.
And then the second shelter would be probably the Raider Arena.
More than likely the Raider Arena. We don't open all of our shelters at one time.
Right.
We open
As
them in a
needed.
staged manner. So once a shelter starts to come close to reaching 75% capacity, then we open the next shelter. And we do that because we want to be wise with the money that we have. And if we just open all the shelters and people don't show up to them, then we've wasted taxpayer dollars. So they're opened up in a staged manner.
Okay, so that pretty much covers everything. If you have any questions or need any assistance, always remember that you can call Public Safety at 651-7150. And businesses need to prepare too. I know that that's very important.
They do. The EOC can recover the county infrastructure. We can bring roads and bridges back up, but that doesn't recover the county. The county doesn't recover until the business backbone comes back up because people have to be able to go back to work. They have to be able to make repairs to their homes. The businesses need to open back up. So we encourage businesses to make a disaster plan, make a continuity of operations plan, so that after that storm goes by, you know what you need to do to get your business back up and open. You need to look at those core things that you do and plan on being able to continue those core tasks that your business is responsible for. If you don't, statistics prove out that most businesses that don't have a plan will either close and never reopen, or they may last a year after the storm is over and then they'll close. And we really just want to see all the businesses prosper, so we ask that they take the time to make a business disaster plan.
And Randy is happy to come out and talk to your business, somebody, again, you can call the Public Safety Office, utilize your resources that are available to you, and hopefully we'll have a safe season this year. I am going to move right into my public information update, and I'm going to actually start with public safety. Our EMS had EMS and Beach Safety Week, and thanks to Public Stores, they went there to collect food for caring and sharing, and I'm going to share some of those photos with you from our EMS folks and our beach safety folks. And then also protecting one of our Destin beaches for our upcoming storm season. We have a photo of the recent beach restoration ribbon cutting and Commissioner Bulls between Sandy Trammell and Destin Mayor Sam Severs. Sharon, Sam Santori of the District Director for Congressman Miller, and Tourist Development Director Dan O'Byrne. We appreciate the efforts of our local, state, and federal government and many dedicated servants who make this happen. Also, lastly, the Heritage Museum of Northwest Florida is holding summer camp, so space is limited. Give them a call at 678-2615. And I want to thank Cox as our community sponsor and for coming to our Emergency Operations Center today. Up next is Doug Rayner with the City of Destin.